Kia ora, welcome to the next tutorial. This one we're going to use Ladybug to generate a Sunpath and Windrose for our site. I've got it all ready to go, and then we can sort of deconstruct it so you can understand what's going on. So the way Ladybug works is it pulls a weather file from a particular website. So let's start there. So we start with a panel, but we need this website. So what you can do, I can never remember, so I just put, if I spell it right, Ladybug tools weather, and you can see even the EPW map. Then there's a link there, so this EPW map, which has the entire world on it, which is great. There's a search button up here, so we can type, in this case, Wellington, but you can type a number of cities all around the world. So I'm just going to go to that one. And then that zooms in, and there's a few files. So there's one out at the airport, and then there's another one here. So if we copy that, or click on that, it gives us this sort of link. So I'm just going to copy the data. You can download it, but in this case I'm just going to copy it. So that copies the path to that information. Let's go back to Rhino. So here I would just double click on there, 2 forward slashes, and then I would just paste that in. And that gives us that whole sort of path that we can then just feed into here. So I'm not going to do that this time because it's already done. So this, we've got download the weather data. So we've got the information. You need a little component to bring that in. So if we go over to Ladybug, and then the first one up here is download weather data. So we can just bring that in and feed that in, and then in this case, we just want the EPW file out. And then we need to sort of pull that information in some way. So we've got Ladybug import. So let's just have a look. That's conveniently the next one on the panel. So we can just click and bring that in. So you can see it's the same. So we've got that. Let's start with the Windrose because it's a little bit quicker. So let's just turn that off and turn this one on. And that should be just next to it. So here. So we've got this information here. So we can, what do we need to do? Let's see, we've got the import EPW file, and then we need this Windrose. So pretty sure that's just here. So under visualize data, so Ladybug Windrose, so we can click and bring that in. Then we want to, let's just pull this out a bit. Then we want to bring, in this case, the wind speed across for data, and then the wind direction across to wind direction. There's a few other bits here. If we need, we can rotate north. Generally, for this project, north will be going to the y-axis, but if you need to, you can change that. Here, I've also got a way of controlling that, so we can bring that in and feed that in if we want to adjust it. We have direction count. We don't need to worry about that one. We also have center point. So in this case, I've just created a point. We may also want to just bring this object through, or we might want to draw another one. So that's the terrain in this case. I'm just going to draw a bit of a bigger piece, rectangle, something like that. I can let's see if we can bring this in. So let's try a curve. That's up here. So params, and then curve. And if we select that one curve there, and we'll just bring this back across. And then if we find the area, so the area function has this great thing which is the centroid. So we can bring that in, and then we can take that centroid and feed it into the center point. And you can see that that comes directly into where we want it, but it's a bit low. So we can come back to here. We can select that, and in this view we can just bring it up to the sort of somewhere where it's going to be right. And so then if we go back to the top, you can see now our circle's sort of going around everywhere that we want it to, or we want it. We may want it there, you may want it to the side. So you could see I had construct point as a way of doing that, or you can pull some other geometry and bring that in. I'm going to go back to construct point in this situation, just so it's a bit cleaner and you can see what's going on for the Windrose. We also have this Ladybug legend parameters, so let's go back to Ladybug there. Now I've got to remember where that is. In this case you can just go LB legend parameters, so we can just pull it from there, and that then gives us a way of controlling the legend that's in there. So if I just pull this out, command, so I've got rid of that. You can see by default we've got a few different numbers that aren't overly clean or smooth. So I've connected that component to legend parameters, and you can see that's all adjusted them. And I've just gone through and set what I want. So I've set min to 0, max I've set to 35, but I could easily adjust that. So you can see that then it changes what's coming through. So depending on how many options, you can start to see how that works. Let's 35 seem to work thereabouts. One more. Ooh. There. And then it's got segment sliders. So this is how this is divided up. So in this case I've set it to 11. If you wanted to be more accurate, you could set it to a higher number, or depending on what you want, a lower number. So in this case I think 10 or 11 seems to work well, and that then controls the divisions. Then we've got another one there, Boolean if true colours along the legend will be in continuous gradient. So that could be quite good depending on what you're wanting. So Boolean toggle, we can come over here, put that in. And by default that's set to false, but if I do that, you can see that gradient is more continuous. So depending on how you want it to look, you can play with some of those. I'm going back to, actually I think that looks better. And then the number of decimal places. So depending on what you're measuring, we can set how many decimals we want that to be. So I'm just going to leave it at 0. Then we can have, if we want, again depending on what we're doing, this larger and smaller. Basically that puts a less than and a greater than at the top, so it can be just helpful depending on what you're trying to show. And then I've got the segment width. So this, because we're in units, this is the size that this is coming through, so you can see that's rather big at 25 meters, but it gives you a way of controlling how that sort of operates. So if you want it bigger or smaller, you can control that as well. And same with the text height and some other bits there. Then what we've got is this LB preview visualization set, and that just gives us a little bit more control over when we export this. So I can't remember where that is, maybe here I think, under extras, so this Ladybug preview visualization set, so we can bring that in. So in this case I've turned preview off on the Windrose because it's creating a preview, but this one has a little bit more control when we come to bake. So here I can go bake. I'm just going to go default on this one, and then script area, vertical alignment, center is not recognized. Top, middle or bottom, I'm not too sure why that is. Let's just try this one and see what happens. Center point, why is that not working? Very strange. So let's just try again. Bake. Go. I don't know. Let's pause and I'll see if I can figure that out. So sorry about that. It was the continuous legend that was causing the problem. So I just put that back to the segmented one. So that then allowed me to bake that out. And what is quite good with the latest version of Ladybug is you can see that it's created a whole collection of layers that we can control from there. So we've got our Windrose for Wellington. So hopefully that makes sense for the Windrose component. Now let's jump on and do what's the next one? We want to bring in and do the Sunpath. So here we can see up under visualization tools, we've got Sunpath, so we can bring that in. We want to just turn that off. So you can see that's all there in the layers. So we can turn the layers off, which is great. So those are off. Now the Sunpath component, similar to what we've before, we want to bring the location in from the EPW file. So the location comes in, and then we've got data. And in this case, I'm just bringing the dry temperature data. So that gives us some more information to put along with the Sunpath. And then we need to add the HOIs. So so calculations, the year from month, day, hour, and minute. So it sort of combines all those informations into a number that the component can then use. And then I've also done something similar. I just copied all those down to the legend parameter. You could probably use the same things for some of them. Just the max and min may be a bit different. So in this case, everything else is the same, and potentially the segment count, just depending on what's going on. So now we need to bring this HOI. So you can see here there's a calculate HOI, so we can bring that in. And then we want to sort of create a little bit of smartness around these. So I would go 1 less than 31. And so that gives us a slider that goes 1 to 31, and that's our days of the month. And then so I've just given it a name there. And then the same for the day. Ooh, come back. I've set it from, shouldn't be 31. Oh, that's the day. Yeah, the month, that should be 1 to, sorry. This should be 1 to 12 for the month. I got that wrong. But the same sort of principle applies. Same for the day. So here I've got 1 to 31 for the day. Cancel. And then for the hour, we have 0 to 24. So it gives us the full day. Cancel. So, and then I've just copied those down for later on. So that allows us to control the Windrose. So let's come back here. I've also done a sort of preview visualization set as well. So that gives us, because you can't bake directly, the Sunpath you can't bake out directly. So there's a little button there. So if I turn this on, preview, and zoom out, by default it goes to 0. I'm going to bring that over to that centroid that we had before. So center point is what we want. Why is that not working? Ooh. Numbered to 0.3D. So for some reason, because it's the area, so that's my bad. So if we pull that through and put that into there, now we've got the Sunpath set in the right location. I've got this line drawn, and that was because it was going to 0, 0. So actually what we want to do here is bring that centroid down into the endpoint. So if we just go back into here and perspective, and you can see sometimes the orientation can be a bit weird. If we come in and select that and zoom to selection, the way that it orbits is around that object, and it sort of resets that. It can make life a little bit easier. And if I hold down, I think it's Shift and the right mouse key, then I can pan around. So in here, what have we got going on? We can then play with the time of month and the so here we're playing with the month, and the time of day is the same. So let's just set that to let's do the 12th and the 22nd. Then we can sort of see where in the sky that is, and then if we can play around that, we can see where in the sun where in the sky the sun is. Another feature of Ladybug is we can control the get Ladybug to set the Rhino sun. So this is really, really helpful. So here we're pulling the location, so that automatically pulls the location of the weather file, and then we can feed, in this case, the HOI information directly into there, and then we can tell it to run. So that is now running. So if I turn on rendered, you can see that it's starting to give us a bit of a my computer's going a bit cray-cray. Let's go. Now, if we adjust, so we're going to go from the middle of summer to the middle of winter, and then if we go into the afternoon, you can see how that is affecting the shadow and how that will play out. So at 3 o'clock there's quite a large shadow over the center of the site, or depending on where you end up placing your pavilion. So then if we want a little bit more control, we can bring in this Ladybug analysis period. So let's just click on here. So there's the analysis period. So we can then basically, we have start, month, day, an hour, and then an end, month, day, an hour. So we can control what time we're looking at. So in this case, we're not going to feed that into the shadow or the sun, but we're going to feed that into, hang on, let's just pull this out. So we've got we need the hoist, and pull that over into the hoist here. And you can see, because we have the lines going, it's a lot more. So let's just turn our line off. Preview off. But that you can see in here all the different sort of periods of the sun over different months. So we could do the whole year if we went from start month to, we'll do it the other way probably, start month to end month. And you can see we could play with the days and hours, but you can then see where the sun is and when the coolest periods are, because we're pulling that dry bulb temperature in. So you can see in winter time, because the sun's lower and we're further away, the sun is, well, it's cooler, and then in summer it's warmer. So now we can also bake this out. So we've got this preview viz set. So if we right click on that and go bake, I'm just going to leave it on default and go OK. So now I'm just going to save that and then close that down. We've got that baked into place. If you want all the suns, you can. You may not want that. You might want to pull that out. And then in here, we can then go summer solstice sunrise, summer solstice sunset, winter solstice sunset, winter solstice sunrise. So you can start to mark some of those things. And you can see here we've got that all on a layer, so we can turn that on and off. And that becomes a really fast way of controlling and creating the sun path and understanding the impact of that sun path on your site, and then being able to start to design with that, because we can sort of see exactly where the sun's coming from. So thank you.